turned away twice by paramedics. A peat later killed, his car torn apart at Lake Macquarie. Dolly's legacy, new laws to jail cyberbullies. Tributes for disability advocate Quinton Kenahan. And Craig Lowndes farewells full-time driving, winning the Bathurst 1000.
This is NBN News with Jane Goldsmith.
Good evening. An investigation is underway after a 2-year-old boy died waiting in the emergency room of a Melbourne hospital for more than 2 hours. His devastated parents say they were dismissed by paramedics twice and neglected by hospital staff.
Full of life, 2-year-old Isaiah was a bubbly and adventurous little boy. But 2 weeks ago, his life was cut short. His devastated parents say they were let down.
The way that Dandenong Hospital just did everything. Because of them, we don't have our son today.
Isaiah had a mild fever on September 24. Catherine and Shadrach called an ambulance, but were told to give their son Nurofen or Panadol. They called the following day and again were rejected.
They told us, we're not going to take your son to the ED. There's no need for him to go.
Yourselves.
The toddler's health worsened overnight, and so his parents took him to their GP, who immediately called an ambulance. Isaiah was rushed to emergency, and despite his condition deteriorating, they say the tiny patient was made to wait more than 2 hours.
My son was in Shad's lap, and his last words was juice, and I gave him a bottle of juice, and he took that sip, and then all of a sudden his tongue swelled up, and then his eyes started rolling, and I started screaming, something's happening to my son.
The little boy went into cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead later that afternoon. In a statement, Ambulance Victoria said, "Our thoughts are with the family at this sad time. We have had an opportunity to speak to the family to express our sympathy and to let them know that we are investigating this matter."
Do you think if maybe he got some help earlier, urgent help, he would still be here today?
Yes, he'll be here, and I wouldn't be having this interview with you. He would still be here playing with us in my lap, but he's not, and there's nothing I can do to change that.
Monash Health said, "We have spoken with the family and our thoughts and concern are with them. A review of the clinical management is already underway and will involve a health expert external to Monash Health." But the family says they haven't heard from the hospital at all, only to be told by the coroner that their son may have died from pneumonia. The matter is now being investigated by the coroner, but it could be a few more months until Isaiah's parents get the answers that they desperately need.
Opposition leader Bill Shorten has today made his pitch to become Australia's next Prime Minister, revealing Labor's election policies. His second landmark speech this week was delivered in a marginal Liberal-held seat in Western Sydney, while the Prime Minister sat in the passenger seat of a racing great. Strapped in for a wild ride.
Down the hill. Whoa!
From Canberra's house on the hill to the race on the mountain, the Prime Minister took a lap at Bathurst, while the opposition leader revved up for a different race. In a Liberal-held seat in Revesby, the Labor leader began his big sell, launching a 5-point action plan to take to the general election, including
1. Fix our schools and our hospitals. 2. We will ease the pressure on family budgets. 3. We will stand up for working people in this country. 4. We will invest in cleaner and cheaper energy. And 5. We will build a strong economy.
I'll tell you what Bill Shorten's 5-point plan is. More tax, more tax, more tax, more tax, more tax, more tax, more tax.
Bill Shorten's second landmark speech in a week was at Revesby Workers' Club, once Labor heartland. Here, he'd held the seat of banks for more than 60 years. And clearly, the opposition leader wants the marginal electorate back. The speech felt like a dress rehearsal for an election campaign launch. It wasn't just about marking out Labor's plan, but also about highlighting its differences with the government, something both sides are eager to do.
Under our government, you'll continue to have the strong economy, which means that you'll get a much better deal.
We will be the first Australian government to have 50% female representation in the parliament.
To news just in, and a woman's been charged with driving 5 times the legal alcohol limit on the far north coast. The 45-year-old allegedly recorded a blood alcohol reading of 0.33 after crashing her car at Byron Bay this afternoon. She'll face court later this month. 2 crashes and a life lost. That's the sad reality of a tragic night on New South Wales roads. At Lake Macquarie, police spent the day at the scene of one of those incidents which killed a P-plater.
It's a devastating and heart-wrenching scene. A mangled wreck, a car twisted and torn to pieces, and a life lost. The male driver died just before 7:30 this morning when his car rolled several times and slammed into a power pole at Edgeworth. For most of the day, crash investigators remained at the scene, taking a closer look from every angle. Police say he was the only person in the car at the time and is yet to be formally identified. There was carnage on the Central Coast as well. A car flipped on its side at Lake Memora in this 2-car crash. A P-plater injured, accused of turning on the very paramedics there to help him.
It appears that there may be alcohol and speed involved in this one.
His injuries not serious, but charges are likely to be laid. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
A Merriweather man who was allegedly found with a loaded gun down his pants in Newcastle overnight has faced court. 28-year-old Jake McDougall was accused of threatening another man at a hotel on Steele Street at around 11:30. He's been charged with 5 offences. His matter was adjourned until next week. The Matara Festival has had its fair share of challenges over the years, none more so than this weekend. Constant rain has flooded the new festival site at Wallsend, but the show will still go on.
Swimming ducks and hand-dug trenches, giving a whole new meaning to Matara Festival's water world. But just days before the show was set to finish, weekend events had to be called off.
We knew it was coming, but we thought we might just get through it and maybe miss one day. But on Thursday night it came down, and on Friday morning the park was flooded. You couldn't get to the rides, you couldn't get to the pools, you couldn't get to the toilets. It was a disaster.
Entertainers, rides and activities were all cancelled. But with this location favoured as the new home of the age-old event, getting things back on track is the main focus.
After making the move from Foreshore Park to Wallsend, this year's festival saw around 20,000 people attend, double last year's numbers. While the rain is expected to stay around for a little longer, organisers are saying the show must go on.
Matara is all about making memories and the hand of friendship. Well, we've done that here and we've had massive crowds. It's been amazing.
The Wallsend community is not letting the rain spoil the show, and eyes are already on next year.
The neighbours have been incredible and we thank them for that as well. Everybody has come forward. The Wallsend community, we have many people from the Wallsend community involved in Matara helping and trying to push it forward, and we've had a lot of people come forward and offer to help for next year.
Pending good weather, the show will reopen this Friday through to Sunday. Lauren Kemp, NBN News.
With Newcastle undergoing an extraordinary amount of change, it's easy to forget our city's past. But through a new book, a Hunter historian is working to make sure that doesn't happen, at least when it comes to the good old local pub.
The old hotels of Newcastle, lost over time, but never forgotten.
So quite a number of the hotels are completely gone, whereas quite a number of the former hotels still exist.
While the buildings may look different, the pubs come and gone, the stories of each and every one still remain. Now they're being retold by historian Ed Tonks. More than 60 hotels are detailed in dry lines and empty cellars, highlighting the ever-changing face of some of the city's most recognisable hotels.
In the late 1930s, the licence was removed across the road to the Art Deco Second Glasgow Arms Hotel, and the 1870s Glasgow Arms Hotel still exists as a building today.
However, that's not the case for all. For some hotels, like the Lord Cardigan at Cook's Hill and the Sir Hercules Robinson at Hamilton, last drinks were called after only a few short years. For others, though, like the Bel Air at Katara and the Cosmopolitan Hotel at Carrington, closing time didn't come for decades.
The classic is, of course, the Bel Air Hotel, a marvellous hotel, a great money spinner, until, of course, the social dynamics changed and there was more value in the land, developing the land, than in the hotel.
Dry line and empty cellars will be launched later this month at the Commonwealth Hotel. Its story still being written. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
Newcastle was filled with rain-defying walkers today, raising funds for mitochondrial disease. Hundreds got their shoes wet on the 30-kilometre trek from Redhead to Pacific Park.
This is our first time here in Newcastle, and with an uptake in its first year of over 850 registrants, it's possibly one of the best starts we've had in the 32 bloody long walks we've done to date around Australia.
Next, protests until the end as Brett Kavanaugh is appointed to America's highest court.